Hi, now we'll talk about thyroid gland. So this is a thyroid gland and this I'm showing in between the follicles. Okay, so this is the lumen. Okay, in the follicle this is the lumen and there are certain various follicles in the thyroid gland, and this is a follicular cell. Here at few places there are parafollicular cells also. This is not related over here, but parafollicular cells secrete calcitonin. Okay, calcitonin hormone. Let's talk about thyroid gland. Now around this follicle there is a blood vessel. There are blood vessels present. Okay, if I'll enlarge over here, this is suppose this is a blood vessel, circulatory system. This is this thyrocyte, that is the follicle, main follicle, and here is the lumen. Okay, this is follicle. Now, as we all know, this thyroid gland, this produces thyroxine hormone, triiodothyronine, and thyroxine, T3, T4. These are the thyroid hormones. So now here we will discuss how these are produced. Now this blood vessels, from here the blood vessels, the iodide is there. We are taking iodide from diet. Okay, so let me tell you this iodide which we are taking from the diet, out of which the only 20% is used by the thyroid gland, rest 80% is in urine. It's excreted, and its requirement of iodide is also very less. You require only 1 milligram of iodine per week. Okay, this is the requirement of iodide. So suppose this is iodide. Now what will happen? This iodide is taken into the follicle through a pump, that is sodium iodide pump. Okay, this sodium is also getting inside and iodide is also getting inside. This is a sodium iodide pump through which the iodide is taken inside the follicle of the thyroid gland. Okay, now this thyroid gland is a in thyroid gland, you know, there is a this follicle, there is a nucleus which will produce mRNA. Okay, this mRNA will produce a protein that is known as thyroglobulin. Thyroglobulin is a protein which is produced by the thyroid gland follicles. Okay, now this thyroglobulin protein, how it is produced? It will firstly from mRNA will come out of the nucleus. Okay, then it will go to the, with the ribosomes, it will go to the endoplasmic reticulum to produce the protein. Okay, then this thyroglobulin will be produced, it will go into the Golgi apparatus, where it will be packaged, and then the secretory vesicles will be formed which is containing thyroglobulins. So this is a vesicle containing the thyroglobulin. Okay, and now we have iodide over here also. This is iodide. Now here there is an enzyme. This enzyme name is peroxidase. Here is an enzyme, that is peroxidase. What is the function of peroxidase? It has various 3 functions. Suppose this iodide is there, na? It has to go into the lumen. To form the T3, T4, it has to go to the lumen. Then this iodide will go into the lumen by oxidation. There will be an oxidation reaction of iodide which will result into iodine formation, and this thyroglobulin will also be transported outside. But this thyroglobulin which is transported outside, this has certain function. The thyroglobulin, if I'll tell you how the thyroglobulin is this. Suppose this is a thyroglobulin. This thyroglobulin protein has tyrosine residues. You know the protein, how the protein is formed? Protein is formed from amino acids. It's basic unit. So there are tyrosine is an amino acid. So there are tyrosine units at some places, few frequent places. Okay, tyrosine residues. Now what will happen? The iodine which has come here, this peroxidase enzyme will also make this iodine to be forming bonds with these tyrosine residues. Okay, with few tyrosine residues, 2 iodines, with some only 1 iodine. Like this will happen. Like this is 1 tyrosine, 2 iodines. This is only 1. So there on varied places there will be this kind of arrangement. Now this molecule means this part. This is what? This is diiodotyrosine residue. This is monoiodotyrosine iodotyrosine residue. Like this DIT, MIT, various DIT, MIT are there in the whole thyroglobulin protein. Okay, this is also formed with the help of this peroxidase. Firstly, peroxidase function was to oxidize the iodide and convert it iodine and bring it over here. Second was it is forming DIT and MIT. Now third function, what it will do is it will combine these. Okay, this is DIT, this is MIT. If di and M is combining, what will be formed? Triiodotyrosine. Okay. At few places we have said there are two iodines together. Okay, here also if two iodines. Now what was this? This was DIT. What is this? This is DIT. Okay, suppose this is not here. Firstly this. Then two DITs are together. Then what it will form? It will form tetraiodine tyrosine. Like T4. This is known as T4 and this is T3. This is how the T3 and T4 are produced. It is not separated from thyroglobulin yet. This is like this, T3, T4, and along with some MITs are also present, some DITs are also present, which are separated. Like suppose this is T3, this is MIT alone, this is again T4, this is again DIT. So this is separate. So this is like this is present in the lumen. Now you know what is present in the lumen. What happens? Now what happens? This complex. I'll show you the complex like TG. Okay. Some of DIT, some it has MIT, some T3, some T4. Okay. This kind of molecule is present in the lumen. Now from the lumen it will go back to the follicle. How it will go back? Through endocytosis. This will go back through endocytosis. Okay. Now this molecule is present inside the follicle through endocytosis. Now in the follicle there is another enzyme that is it will proteolyze, protease enzymes, and it will proteolyze. This is a protein, it will proteolyze. That is, it will break this thing. It will break down into DIT separate plus MIT separate, T3 separate, T4 separate, thyroglobulin separate. Okay. Now what will happen? This now thyroglobulin separate, I mean this is not only formed from the tyrosine residues, there are another amino acids also. That is it. Okay. So now DIT and MIT, they remain in the follicle. Okay. But the T3 and T4, which are the thyroid hormones, they are moved into the here was circulatory system. So from here this T3 and T4 are moved out into the circulation. Now T3, T4, they won't move in the blood freely. They will be bounded by plasma proteins. Okay, they will be bound by plasma proteins and they will circulate in the blood, and then they will reach the various tissues of the body where they want to act. But here what I said was DIT and MIT are left. Now this DIT and MIT, there is another enzyme in the follicle. That enzyme is deiodinase. D is removing. So from DIT and MIT residues, iodine is removed, and this iodine which is removed, this is recycled iodine. This is again used to produce T3 and T4. Okay. Now in the blood T3 which is formed is approximately 10%, but T4 is 90%, and the active form is T3. Okay, so it will go to the peripheral tissues. When it will go to the peripheral tissues, in the peripheral tissues there is an enzyme that is 5-mono-deiodinase. This enzyme is present. Mono-deiodinase means, in the T4 there are how many iodines? There are 4 iodines. In T3, 3 iodines we have formed now. Over here, this one, 2 iodines will form DIT, one iodine will form MIT, this combined T3. So in T3, how many iodines are there? 3. So 5-monoiodinase will act on T4, and what will happen? From T4, one iodine will be removed and it will convert into T3. T3 is the active form. So in the tissues, T3 is in the tissues, through this enzyme we get T3. Okay, and these thyroid hormones are the steroid kind of, like thyroid hormones are lipidophilic, so it will go into the, it will enter the cell membrane, it will enter the nucleus, where it will act on the DNA and then synthesize proteins, whatever function it will do. And what stimulates the thyroid gland to produce this T3 and T4? There is a thyroid stimulating hormone, okay, and which is produced by what? Anterior pituitary. Okay, anterior pituitary produces TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. How anterior pituitary produces TRH? By TRH, thyroid releasing hormone, by hypothalamus. This is nervous part. So this TSH which is formed will act on the thyroid follicular cells. This is a follicular cell. On the it will act on the follicular cell. On the follicular cell there are serpentine, 7 pass receptors. If you have done the receptors, then you must be knowing that there are 7 pass receptor or serpentine receptors. That is for TSH, present on the membrane of the follicle. Then it will activate G stimulatory, then rest adenyl cyclase, cyclic AMP level increases, okay, and then protein kinase A will be activated, this whole chain, and then action, that is phosphorylation. Main action is phosphorylation of iodide pump. Iodide pump will happen, and then that and also the peroxidase enzyme, that will be activated. Thyroglobulin production increases. So this kind of actions are occurring in the follicular cell with the response to the TSH. TSH is the activator of the thyroid follicular cell to produce T3 and T4. And what T3, T4 will do while going to the tissues? It will do the normal linear body growth. Okay, it will do bone ossification. As a result of normal bone development will occur. It also increases the adrenergic receptors. It synthesizes the adrenoreceptors, which increases and more powerful influence of sympatho-adrenal system on the cell. Okay, sympathetic system action is much like elevation of the heart rate. Okay, like this cardiac contractility increases. So these kinds of things through sympatho-adrenal effects are there. And basal metabolism increases. Okay, it also increases the sodium potassium ATPase synthesis. This function of this pump increases. Metabolism increase. Glucose level increases. By glucose absorption is there more in the gut. Okay, glycogenolysis, like glycogen is broken to form glucose to produce glucose. Gluconeogenesis is more, so glucose level is increasing basically. Protein catabolism is there, so these kinds of things takes place. And if T3, T4 are more in the blood, then this T3, T4 will give negative feedback to the anterior pituitary to produce less TSH. If less TSH will be produced, then these things will be not there, and then there will be lesser production of T3 and T4. So this was all about thyroid gland. Thank you.